The Red Hand of Ulster does not begin in any medieval legend about a boat race or a severed hand. It begins in a Hebrew word, buried in Isaiah 60, that mainstream biblical scholarship has read past for centuries, without stopping to ask why the same root that gives us the name Zarah appears in the opening verses addressed to the covenant people of the last days. Most people who know Isaiah 60 know it as a restoration promise. Light coming after darkness. Nations streaming toward Israel. Wealth flowing in from every direction. The standard reading treats it as a general eschatological vision, a beautiful picture of a future restoration for a scattered Jewish remnant. That reading has circulated in commentaries and pulpits for centuries, and that reading has never once explained why the specific Hebrew root Zarach, the name of the man whose wrist bore the scarlet cord in Genesis 38, appears in the opening command and in the description of God's glory rising upon the covenant people, with the derivative form zerach appearing in verse 3 as the brightness that draws the nations toward them. That is not stylistic variation. In Hebrew prophetic literature, that level of repetition of a root across consecutive verses is identification. Isaiah is not describing what will happen to unnamed covenant people. He is naming them in the act of addressing them. This investigation picks up where the previous video ended. The covenant hand principle was confirmed in Deuteronomy, Habakkuk, and Isaiah 59. McMurdo's reading of Isaiah 59 identified the zerach root of Zarah within the directional language of that passage. The question that evidence left open was this: if the red hand marks a covenant people through whom God's wealth transfer operates in the last days, what does that transfer actually look like? How large is it? And what does it displace when it arrives? Isaiah 60 answers every one of those questions with a precision that the standard commentary has never fully accounted for. This investigation does. The Hebrew word zarach is confirmed in Strong's Hebrew lexicon as entry 2224, a primitive root meaning to irradiate, to shoot forth beams, to rise as the sun. It appears in Isaiah 60 verse 1 as the verb form of the command to arise and shine. The glory of the Lord has zerach, risen, upon the covenant people. In Isaiah 60 verse 2, zerach appears again. The Lord shall zerach upon them, and his glory shall be seen upon them. In Isaiah 60 verse 3, the derivative form zerach appears as the brightness, the zerach, of the rising that draws the nations and their kings. Two appearances of zerach in verses 1 and 2. The derivative zerach in verse 3. 3 consecutive verses, one root, and that root is the name of the man whose wrist bore the scarlet thread at birth, the first red hand marker in all of Scripture. This is where the research of Bill McMurdo in The Mystery of the Red Hand makes the argument that the standard commentary has never completed. McMurdo identifies that Zarach and Zerach in Isaiah 60 year are not generic Hebrew words for rising that happen to share letters with the name Zarah. They are the name operating as a verb. The command to arise in Isaiah 60 verse 1 is addressed to the Zarah line by embedding the ancestor's name inside the grammar of the command itself. McMurdo's point is precise. Isaiah is not using a word that sounds like Zarah. He is using Zarah as the word. The covenant people being commanded to arise and shine are identified in the very verb that commands them. That is not a peripheral interpretive observation. It is a grammatical argument rooted in the Hebrew text. And it means that the glory Isaiah describes rising upon the covenant people in Isaiah 60 is the same glory Habakkuk saw radiating from the hand of God, now rising specifically upon the Zarah bloodline in the last days. The consequences of that identification flow directly into Isaiah 60 verse 4 and 65. The covenant people are told to lift their eyes and look around them. Their sons are coming from far away. Their daughters are being carried at their side. And then in verse 5, Isaiah delivers what McMurdo identifies as one of the most precise economic prophecies in all of ancient Israel history. The abundance of the sea shall be turned to them. The wealth of the nations shall come. The New King James translation renders it with equal precision. The abundance of the sea shall be turned to you. The wealth of the nations shall come to you. The word sea in Hebrew prophetic literature is not incidental. Revelation 17 verse 15 defines the symbol explicitly. The waters where the harlot sits are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues. Isaiah is using the same symbol centuries earlier. The sea is the economic and political mass of the nations of the world. And Isaiah is saying that mass is going to turn, not trickle, not gradually shift, turn, as a body of water turns when its direction changes completely.
Get 20% off when you use the discount code IsraelFound at the checkout in link provided in description and link above. Applies to all books store-wide. This is an affiliate link and helps my channel and expands your knowledge.
The wealth of the entire world system redirecting toward the covenant people at the moment the Zarach, the rising of the red hand, takes place. The mechanism behind that transfer is not political strategy. It is not military conquest. It is not economic maneuvering. It is covenantal. The right hand of the Lord obtains wealth. The right hand of the Lord brings it forth. The covenant hand that Moses protected in Deuteronomy 8, that Habakkuk located as the hiding place of divine power, and that Isaiah declared fully operational in chapter 59, is the same hand that magnetizes the wealth of the nations in Isaiah 60. The transfer happens because the covenant hand is lifted. The red hand rising is not a metaphor, it is the trigger. What this means for the lost tribes of Israel investigation is significant. The wealth transfer of Isaiah 60 is not addressed to a restored Jewish remnant in the modern Middle East. In McMurdo's framework, it is addressed to the Zarah line, identified by the Zarach and zerach root running through the opening verses. The Zarah line is the red hand line, and the red hand line, as the previous video established, is the covenant bloodline whose symbol appears on the emblem of a province in the north of Ireland that has carried that hand for centuries without fully understanding the prophetic weight of what it was displaying. The argument does not stop at wealth. Isaiah 60 describes something larger than an economic realignment. It describes a complete reordering of who holds authority in the earth. Verse 3 states that kings will come to the brightness of the zerach rising, not advisors, not traders, kings. The nations do not simply send their wealth. Their governing authorities come toward the covenant people. This is the same reordering that Daniel chapter 5 prefigured when the hand of God appeared on the wall of Babylon and the empire that had seemed invincible collapsed before morning. Babylon does not negotiate with the hand of God. It falls to it. McMurdo connects Isaiah 60 directly to the fall of Babylon in Revelation chapter 18. If the wealth of the nations is magnetizing toward the covenant people, it must be magnetizing away from somewhere. That somewhere is the system Revelation 18 calls Babylon, the corrupt ecclesiastical and economic structure that currently controls the world's wealth.
If you would like more information where to research this subject, pause this image and look into these resources or find resources in description. If you have book sources or links of your own on this subject, please share in comments or email me.
Jeremiah 51 verse 25 records God declaring his hand stretched out against Babylon. The same hand that draws wealth toward the covenant people destroys the system that has been hoarding it. These are not two separate events. They are two sides of the same covenantal act. The red hand rising produces both the transfer and the collapse simultaneously. Northern Ireland carries the red hand on its provincial emblem. Both communities, separated by centuries of conflict, display the same symbol without agreement on what it means. McMurdo's argument is that this is not historical accident. The province whose emblem is the red hand is the specific geographical location where the spiritual conflict over the covenant hand is most concentrated. The misuse of the emblem by violent and corrupt groups does not destroy its original meaning. The covenant significance of the red hand cannot be permanently buried under the weight of its misappropriation. The true meaning of that ancient emblem will not be set aside by those who have abused it. It will come to the fore in God's timing, and when it does, both sides of Ireland's ancient divide will recognize what they have been carrying. 3 things are now confirmed across the first 2 videos in this investigation. The covenant hand principle is established in Deuteronomy, Habakkuk, and Isaiah 59. The Zarah identification is confirmed by McMurdo's grammatical argument from the Zarach and zerach root running through the opening verses of Isaiah 60. And the wealth transfer mechanism is described by Isaiah with a precision that names the source, the direction, and the magnitude of what moves when the red hand rises. These are not three interpretive suggestions without foundation. They are three arguments from named books, named chapters, and named Hebrew words that the standard commentary on ancient Israel history and the standard account of the Red Hand of Ulster have consistently failed to bring together. The question this investigation now leaves open is this: if the wealth transfer of Isaiah 60 operates through a specific covenant, people identified by the Zarah root, who exactly are those people in the last days? What is their specific identity, and what is their relationship to the elder brother who sits at the right hand of the father? The next video goes directly into that question. It begins in Genesis 35, with a dying woman naming her son after sorrow, and a father overriding that name with the most specific covenant designation in all of the patriarchal narratives, son of my right hand. That name is Benjamin, and the company it designates is the covenant people of the last days, whose identity, whose authority, and whose relationship to the throne has been hiding in plain sight inside the story of Jacob's youngest son since the day he was born.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe for more great content. Hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. See you in the next video.